I boarded a flight to Los Angeles without giving anyone a hint, fueled by the hope of a joyful reunion. I imagined the laughter, the hugs, the moment of surprise on my daughter's face. But reality hit me like a freight train. I found her fighting for her life in intensive care. Meanwhile, her husband was indulging himself on a luxury yacht, pouring my hard-earned money into champagne and frivolous entertainment. Anger surged through me at his betrayal, and I left him financially destitute. That act of retribution triggered a chain reaction of madness, and that was only the beginning. Before we move forward, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Also, write in the comments the exact time where you are right now. As the plane began its descent into LAX, I gripped my phone, fingers trembling slightly as I typed, "Landing in 20 minutes. This will be the best surprise of her life." Hitting send felt like a promise, a commitment I was determined to keep. 3 years had passed, far too long. The photograph tucked in my wallet had softened at the edges from constant handling. Matilda laughing in her kitchen, flower petals brushing her dark hair, Emma with her missing front tooth grinning, little Jack proudly displaying a crayon masterpiece. I had stared at that picture every day since Martha passed, but today felt different. Today I was finally confronting the aching emptiness in my chest. Folks, we are beginning our final approach into Los Angeles International Airport. The pilot's voice crackled through the speakers. My hands, worn from years of labor, gripped the armrest tightly as a familiar anticipation coursed through me. The last time I had surprised anyone was Martha's 50th birthday, a lifetime ago. 5 years of grief had transformed me into a stranger, even to my own daughter. Yet Matilda's voice from our last call 3 months ago echoed incessantly in my mind. "I'm just tired, Dad. Really tired." That simple tone lingered like an unhealed wound, gnawing at the edges of my consciousness. At the baggage carousel, I watched other families reunite. A young mother lifted her toddler into her arms. An elderly couple embraced their son. Soon I imagined it would be me and Matilda, but she had no idea I was coming. "Studio City, please." I instructed the Uber driver, showing him the address on my phone. "I'm going to see my daughter. She doesn't know I'm coming." "Surprise visits are the best," he said with an accent. "My family in Guatemala loves it when I show up unexpectedly." The freeway stretched endlessly ahead. Palm trees swayed in the warm April breeze, and Los Angeles unfolded exactly as I remembered, sprawling, sun-soaked, and so different from the small Texas town where I had raised Matilda. She had always been drawn to bigger dreams, brighter lights. Martha used to joke that our daughter inherited my adventurous spirit, back when I still believed in taking risks. I tried calling Matilda twice during the drive, but each time my finger hovered over the screen and then withdrew. No, it was better this way. The surprise face-to-face would be worth the 4-hour flight and the aching stiffness in my back. The Uber pulled up to a tidy house with white shutters and a small faded garden. Perfect. I handed the driver some cash, grabbed my overnight bag, and stood on the sidewalk, feeling the warm afternoon sun on my shoulders. Approaching the front door, I rehearsed my words. Perhaps a joke about her old dad finally mastering airline websites, or maybe I would simply open my arms and wait for her to run to me like she did at 8. I retrieved a small gift from my bag, a hand-carved wooden jewelry box I had made in my garage. It was meant to hold her grandmother's ring until Emma was old enough. Martha would have loved that. The doorbell rested under my finger. For a moment I lingered, savoring the anticipation. 3 years of phone calls and texts were about to transform into real hugs, shared meals, and stories told across the kitchen table. I pressed the button. A soft chime echoed inside. Silence. I tried again, holding the button longer. The chime sounded hollow in the emptiness. "Matilda, it's Dad." I called out, knocking gently. Maybe they were in the backyard, or upstairs with music playing. But the silence stretched, oppressive and unnatural. I stepped back, surveying the house. The rose bush by the front window had browned at the edges. Petals littered the walkway, like discarded confetti. When had Matilda stopped tending her garden? She used to send me photos every spring. I walked around the side gate, peering into the backyard. The patio furniture sat under a fine layer of dust. The vegetable patch she once nurtured was nothing but brown stems. A child's tricycle lay tipped over, one wheel lazily spinning in the breeze. Returning to the porch, I noticed the mailbox overflowing with bills, letters, and packages. A few had tumbled to the ground. Electric bills from 3 weeks ago, advertising circulars, a package for Gary, all left to languish in the California sun. The most recent postmark 10 days ago. My heartbeat quickened. My engineering instincts kicked in. When systems fail, there's always a logical explanation. Gather more data, I told myself. I pressed my face to the living room window. Dark, curtains drawn, no movement, no television flickering. The house felt abandoned, yet familiar. Matilda's art easel, Jack's scattered toy cars. "Excuse me, are you looking for the McCoys?" An elderly neighbor approached, garden shears in hand. I introduced myself, Harley Sims, Matilda's father. She wiped her brow and admitted she hadn't seen them lately. "It's been awfully quiet. Usually the kids play in the mornings." Her tone trailed off. Concern etched her features. I sank onto Matilda's front step, the jewelry box still clutched tightly in my hands. Something didn't fit. Matilda would have mentioned a vacation during our last call. Gary, obsessed with social media, would have posted pictures. I scrolled through Matilda's Facebook feed, the last post 6 weeks ago, a photo of Emma's school project. Before that, silence for nearly 2 months. My daughter, who once chronicled every family moment, had vanished online. As shadows lengthened, I checked under the welcome mat and the rim of a flower pot. No hidden key. The front door remained locked. "Don't panic, Harley. Logical explanation," I whispered, but the growing sense of dread told me otherwise. I dialed Matilda. 1 ring, 2, 3, straight to voicemail. Her cheerful recorded voice tightened my chest. I hung up and tried again. Same result. The third time, a man answered, professional, cautious. "Matilda, this is Dad. I'm in Los Angeles. Nobody's home. And, sir, this is Dr. Rivera, from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Are you a family member of Matilda McCoy?" The world tilted. I gripped the phone, supporting myself on the porch railing. "Yes, I'm her father." "Why do you have her phone? Where is she?" A pause that felt endless. "I'm very sorry. Your daughter is in the ICU, receiving treatment for advanced cancer. Her condition is critical." The words struck like blows. Cancer, critical. My vision blurred. 3 months ago, she had said she was tired. How could this be happening? Dr. Rivera explained that stage 4 cancer can progress rapidly, often without patients informing family immediately. My daughter had been under care for weeks. Weeks, the neglected garden, overflowing mailbox, silent house, all became horrifyingly clear. "And Gary, my grandchildren?" I asked. "Patient confidentiality prevents me from commenting on other family matters, Mr. Sims. But your daughter has been asking for you. Please come immediately." I flagged down a taxi, clinging to the address. Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, 8700 Beverly Boulevard, Oncology Intensive Care Unit. Racing through traffic, each stoplight and honking horn felt surreal. People moved about their ordinary lives, while mine collapsed around me. Cancer, stage 4. My daughter fighting for her life, and I had no idea. Arriving at the hospital, modern glass and steel towering above, I handed the driver cash and rushed inside. The antiseptic smell hit immediately, a stark reminder of human fragility. Dr. Rivera met me, calm yet grave. "Stable for now. Chemotherapy hasn't been as effective as we hoped. But she's responding. She's been asking for family." Room 712. Matilda lay propped up in bed, hooked to monitors and IVs. So small, so fragile, yet when she saw me, her face lit up in a smile that made my chest ache. "Daddy," she whispered. I crossed the room in 3 steps, gathering her into my arms. She felt delicate, bird-like. "I'm here, I'm not going anywhere." I whispered through tears. "I didn't want to worry you," she breathed. "You were still grieving Mom, and I thought I could handle it myself." I smoothed the hospital blanket over her shoulders, as I had tucked her in against childhood monsters. "Why didn't you tell me? We could have fought this together." She explained the doctor had given 6, maybe 8 months with treatment. She had hoped to call me when she was in remission. 8 months, maybe less. Break breath. I held her hand, ice cold, despite the warm room. "Where's Gary?" I asked, voice steady but probing. She admitted he had been distant, scared of the diagnosis. The kids had been cared for by neighbors during the day. Gary handled practical tasks but had abandoned emotional responsibility. I spent the next hour simply being present, holding her hand, offering silent support. As night fell, she drifted into peaceful sleep. I retrieved my phone, determined to confront Gary. First call, one ring, then voicemail. He was screening. I typed a text, "Your wife is in ICU. Call immediately." The fight was far from over. 5 minutes passed. Nothing. I tried again from my own phone, same result. Silence. Then my eyes caught Matilda's phone lying on the bedside table, plugged into the charger. Maybe if I used her number, I could get through. I glanced at her sleeping form, fragile and pale, before carefully picking up her phone. Gary's contact appeared in her recent calls, but the last incoming call had been 2 days ago. 2 full days since he'd bothered to check on his dying wife. I dialed again from her phone, straight to voicemail. Frustration flared, and for a moment I almost set the phone down. Then the screen lit up with a notification, Instagram. Her account was still open, logged in. At the top of her feed, Gary's story appeared, marked by a bright red circle signaling new content. Impulsively, I tapped it. The first image made my blood run cold. A luxury yacht, gleaming under the afternoon sun, champagne glasses catching the light. A manicured hand held a flute in a toast. Timestamp, 2 hours ago. I swiped to the next story. Gary's face filled the screen, grinning widely, arm around 2 other men I didn't know. Designer sunglasses glinted, smiles wide, sun reflecting off polished decks. Behind them, the Pacific stretched endlessly. Caption, "Living my best life with the boys," posted 90 minutes ago. My chest tightened. My daughter was fighting for her life, and he was celebrating like none of it mattered. The next screenshots were worse. Gary lounging on pristine white cushions, diving off the yacht's platform, raising another champagne glass, as the sky turned orange with sunset. Finally, a short video. His voice laughed over the sound of the ocean. Nothing like a few days away from reality to clear your head. Sometimes you just need to live a little away from reality. I checked the location tag, Marina del Rey. Less than an hour from the hospital, where my daughter clung to life. My hands shook as I typed, "I see you're having fun. Your wife is dying. Call me." Then another, "I have screenshots. We need to talk." Still no response. I paced the room, careful not to wake Matilda, mind racing. Yacht rentals didn't come cheap. I knew Gary was a business consultant. But this wasn't modest spending, this was excess. And then it hit me. 1 year ago, he'd approached me for financial help, emergency access to my backup account, medical bills, home repairs, dental work for Emma. I had trusted him. I'd believed his reassurances that everything was temporary, that it was for the family's welfare. Hands trembling, I opened my banking app, scrolling through the shared account. Charges stared back at me like damning evidence. Marina del Rey yacht rental, $15,000, posted yesterday. Nobu Malibu, $850, 3 days ago. Beverly Hills Mercedes service, $2,400, last week. Rodeo Drive shopping, $3,200, 10 days prior. A consistent pattern emerged, luxury spending rising in tandem with Matilda's suffering. Each dollar I had entrusted to him for emergencies had been funneled into indulgence, frivolity, and selfishness. I methodically captured each transaction. My engineer's mind kicked in, evidence, data, leverage points. Gary's betrayal had a quantifiable footprint. Each screenshot, each number, each date told the story of a man prioritizing his pleasure over his wife's life. Rage surged, but I forced myself into calculated thought. Cold, precise, methodical. Emotional reaction wouldn't help Matilda, strategy would. My phone buzzed. Gary's name flashed on the screen. I looked at Matilda one last time, still asleep, still fragile, and stepped into the hallway. Time to confront him. I returned briefly to Matilda's room. "I'll be right back, sweetheart," I whispered, brushing a kiss across her forehead. She didn't stir. Coffee in hand, I found a quiet corner in the hospital cafeteria, seating myself out of sight. I stared at that yacht photo again, fury and disbelief mixing into a cold, calculating resolve. Gary had been living off my money while my daughter deteriorated under chemotherapy. I recalled the access he'd begged for, presenting it as concern for Matilda's peace of mind. I had believed him. Naive trust now became ammunition. I opened a small notebook, jotting down the steps. First, sever financial access. Immediate, complete, irreversible. Second, confront him personally, make him accountable for every action, while Matilda fought alone. The bank's emergency line answered on the third ring. Protocol followed. Identity verified. Account numbers and Social Security confirmed. I want to revoke all authorized access immediately. I said, each word deliberate. Every automated payment, every recurring transaction, every linked card, terminated. The representative confirmed. Transfers executed. Total funds, $127,000, moved to my secured account. Credit cards canceled. Fraud alerts activated. My hands shook only slightly as the system worked. Each confirmation email felt like justice delivered electronically. The engineering problem was solved. Identify the failure, isolate the component, remove it permanently. Gary's access now existed solely in his imagination. Relief washed over me, not for Matilda's suffering, which remained, but for the injustice I had now neutralized. Gary could enjoy his yacht tonight. Tomorrow, reality would meet consequence. I returned to Matilda's room. She lay quietly, eyes tracing the ceiling. "Hey sweetheart, how are you feeling?" I set the untouched coffee aside, and pulled a chair close. "Better now that you're here," she whispered. She reached for my hand. "Dad, I need to tell you something about Gary." Her voice was weak, tentative. I held her fingers in mine, warming them as best I could. "Take your time, honey. I'm listening." "He changed after Jack was born," she began, each word measured. "He said I wasn't contributing enough financially. My freelance work got harder, Jack was colicky, and he said I was a burden." Her gaze fell. "When the cancer diagnosis came, he just shut down. Stayed out later, said he had business meetings." Anger simmered, but I kept my voice calm. "A burden? You're raising 2 children. None of that makes you a burden." Tears ran down her cheeks. "But he's not coming back, is he?" "Dad." I stroked her hair, remembering the little girl hiding from storms. "Sweetheart, you are perfect. Any man blind to that doesn't deserve you. Ever." Finally, relief replaced fear in her expression. She had seen in those moments the father who would protect her. She understood her husband's true nature, the betrayal laid bare. Her exhaustion returned, eyelids drooping. I covered her with the blanket, soft against her trembling body. "Promise me something," she whispered. "Don't let anger consume you." "I promise, sweetheart." Rest now, but I knew my mind would remain vigilant. Gary's actions had consequences beyond forgiveness. The phone buzzed, unknown number, Marina del Rey area code. Gary, panic and humiliation lacing his voice. "Harley, my cards are declined. Fix this immediately. Where are you?" I ignored his demand. "You chose a yacht over your wife. You chose parties over your children. You chose my money over your family's future." Silence. Then sputtering excuses. "It's business networking. You can't restore anything now. You were her husband." Past tense. I let each word land like steel. He threatened divorce, custody, retaliation. I cut him off. "Gary, you made your choice. Now live with the consequences." Behind me, Matilda's grip tightened. Tears streamed, but relief shone in her eyes. She finally understood she had a father who would act when justice was required. Gary's threats fell flat. His world of indulgence, entitlement, and illusion of control collapsed. I whispered to her, "I will protect you. I will protect Emma and Jack. Leave everything else to me. You just focus on getting better." For the first time that day, her expression softened. Trust, finally restored, mingled with the fragile hope of survival, and I knew, some acts demand more than forgiveness. Some acts demand consequences, executed with precision and unwavering resolve. Every single day, he chose not to be here. Every day he skipped holding her hand during treatment. Every day he prioritized parties over his family. Matilda's tears fell now, but they were not tears of sorrow, they were tears of liberation. 20 long years of excusing Gary's behavior had finally met the unvarnished truth from someone who truly saw it. She had been too scared to voice these thoughts herself, but now she was hearing her father speak the words she had longed to hear. Please, Harley, I'm begging you. Just give me enough to get home, and we can. No. The single word hung in the air like a decisive verdict. You are finished, Gary. Finished with my money. Finished with my family. Finished hurting the people I love. But I don't have anywhere to. I hung up and immediately blocked his number. The action felt as final as slamming a heavy door, cutting him off permanently from the lives he had taken for granted. Sitting beside Matilda's hospital bed, I took her hand in mine and kissed her knuckles the way I used to when she was small and scared. "Thank you, Daddy," she whispered softly. "You never have to thank me for protecting you, sweetheart." "That's what fathers do," I replied. She squeezed my hand tightly. A mix of relief and lingering fear in her grip. I was so afraid of being alone with the kids. Afraid of admitting I'd made such a terrible mistake, she admitted. "You're not alone," I said gently, smoothing her hair back from her forehead. "You will never be alone again. And it wasn't your mistake, it was his. Every selfish choice, every cruel word, every moment, he chose himself over his family. That's on him, not you." For the first time since I arrived in Los Angeles, Matilda smiled. A true, unguarded smile filled with hope rather than fear. "Get some rest," I said softly. "Tomorrow we start planning your future, a future where nobody will ever hurt you again." She closed her eyes, breathing deeply and peacefully, for the first time that day. The monitors beeped steadily beside us, counting heartbeats, counting moments, marking the beginning of a new chapter. Outside the window, Los Angeles glittered in the night, oblivious to the small victory happening in room 712. Inside, justice had been served, and the path to healing had begun. 1 year later, in 2025, sunlight poured through the kitchen window of our new Texas home, painting warm golden rectangles across the hardwood floor, where Emma's art supplies lay scattered in delightful organized chaos. Children's laughter drifted from the backyard, blending with the rhythmic chopping of vegetables by Matilda, who moved through the kitchen with renewed energy, grace, and confidence. I paused in the doorway, watching her, the same daughter, yet transformed by months of recovery. Her hair had grown back thicker, her face glowing with health and genuine joy. The haunted look is gone, I thought, recognizing the woman I had raised beneath layers of Gary's manipulation. "Dad, you're lurking again," Matilda said without turning, her familiar teasing tone a clear sign of recovery and strength. "Just appreciating the view, sweetheart," I replied. "Still hard to believe you're really here." Through the window, I could see Jack teaching Emma to throw a perfect football spiral, grandfatherly patience in motion, traditions passed down with care. At 8 and 6, they had adapted seamlessly to this new life, resilient in the way children are when safety and love replace fear. The divorce had been swift and merciless. Gary's threats of custody evaporated when the court reviewed recorded calls and bank statements. A man who abandoned his terminally ill wife while spending her father's money on yachts did not inspire judicial sympathy. "Grandpa," Emma's voice rang through the screen door. "Come show Jack how to catch better." "In a minute, honey," I called back, then turned to Matilda. "How are you feeling today?" "Really feeling?" She set down her knife, facing me fully. Her eyes reflected the verdict doctor. Rivera had confirmed 3 months prior, complete remission. "I feel like myself again," she said softly. "Maybe even stronger than before." She pulled a pan of cornbread from the oven, Martha's recipe, the one I had taught her long ago. "Some traditions were worth preserving. Remember what you used to tell me when I was little and terrified of thunderstorms?" she asked, setting the hot pan on a cooling rack. "That storms pass, but families last forever," I said. "You were right," she whispered, hugging me tightly. Just as she had before marriage, illness and fear had created distance between us. We didn't need words, the restraining order and the years of suffering had already spoken volumes. "Dad," Emma scored a touchdown. Jack burst through the screen door, knees grass-stained and face lit with pure joy. Behind him, Emma performed a victory dance that would have made her grandmother laugh. "Touchdown celebration calls for extra cornbread," Matilda announced, slicing generous squares in the golden afternoon light. As evening approached, painting the Texas sky in shades of orange and pink, the 4 of us sat on the front porch swing, a relic from Martha's old house, carefully salvaged and rebuilt here. Emma dozed against my shoulder, while Jack peppered me with questions about the stars. "Will you tell us the story about how you saved Mom again?" Emma mumbled sleepily. "Sweetheart," I said, "your mom saved herself. I just helped clear the obstacles." "Like the bad man who went away," Jack added. "Like the bad man who went away," I confirmed, squeezing Matilda's hand. It had become our unspoken symbol of gratitude, love, and a bond forged and strengthened through crisis. We had chosen unbreakable. I watched my grandchildren's eyelids grow heavy as the night settled in. This is what winning looks like, not a single act of revenge, though Gary's defeat had been satisfying, but the quiet, ordinary days that follow, when no one fights for their life, when no one betrays anyone, when the only drama is whether Jack finishes his vegetables. The stars appeared overhead, the same constellations Martha and I had watched decades ago, back when Matilda was Emma's age. Some things change, marriages end, people disappoint, illness tests our assumptions about fairness. But some things endure: the love between a father and daughter, the resilience of children, the satisfaction of protecting what matters most. Tomorrow Matilda would return to her design projects, while the kids attended their new school. I would tend Martha's garden, and perhaps begin the woodworking project for Emma's dollhouse. Normal life, the life worth fighting for. Tonight though, we sat together under the expansive Texas sky, 3 generations, bound by love and tested by fire, finally safe in the peace we had earned. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thank you for watching. Break breath.